Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, and today we're looking into how car engines work. In simple terms, car engines suck, squeeze, bang, blow. That's how the vast majority of internal combustion engines work that are employed in cars. Now if you look at a piston, when the explosion happens, all the energy is actually going in a linear fashion. So it goes down, presses the piston down in the cylinder. That is connected to a connecting rod, and that connecting rod is connected to a crankshaft, which turns that linear motion into rotational motion, which we then use to move the car forward. So one thing that you might have noticed is that the use of internal combustion engines are extremely prolific. I mean, in every single sector of our economy, we use internal combustion engines. All the way from electricity to transport to goods, everything uses internal combustion engines in our modern world pretty much. Yes, there is some other technologies that are making their way into our economies, but there is very good reasons why they are not really becoming as prolific as the internal combustion engine. The biggest of those reasons is the energy density involved with internal combustion engines. If you take, for instance, the very best batteries employed in electric vehicles today, the lithium-ion battery, you can get maybe 300 watt-hours per kilogram of lithium-ion battery. Whereas with gasoline, you're looking at about 12 kilowatt-hours of energy for every kilogram of gasoline. So it is orders of magnitude more than what a battery can supply. Now, granted, electric cars are much more efficient. For instance, an electric car uses about 300 watt-hours per kilometer, whereas an internal combustion engine vehicle uses around about a kilowatt of energy per kilometer. Now granted, this is a significant difference. The electric car can get 3 times as far per kilowatt. But when you look at the energy density again, petrol contains about 40 times more energy than what a lithium-ion battery will be able to give you. So without better battery technology, electric cars just never ever will be able to reach what internal combustion engines were able to. Now I'm not saying that electric cars will not take over the world. As far as it's going now, it looks like electric cars will be taking over the world. But beyond that, there's just not much that really goes in the way of being able to transport other things. Like for instance, we will never be able to use this in trucks, despite what Elon Musk likes to say. The fact of the matter is, when it comes to trucks, it's just impossible really to get range without having a battery that is so big that you can have almost no load on the truck, which completely defeats the idea of making a truck electric. So yeah, I'm just laughing every time when they talk about the Tesla semi-truck. There is one other thing though about electric engines that is quite interesting, and that's the fact that they are efficient right through their RPM range, whereas internal combustion engines just don't have that. For instance, an internal combustion engine at idle has pretty much no power. I'm sure you've been in an internal combustion engine vehicle and put it in first gear without slowly adjusting the amount of clutch and acceleration that you provide. The engine dies if you drop the clutch too quickly. And this is because there's pretty much no power at idle. Most engines, most internal combustion gasoline engines, actually produce the most power at around 3000 RPM, and this is because their volumetric efficiency is the highest at that point. So basically what this volumetric efficiency means is that from the time the intake valve opens to the time it closes, it is only able to fill up the cylinder about 75% of the pressure of the outside air. And at that point, that's pretty much the best you'll be able to get in a naturally aspirated engine. Now we do employ other things, like for instance turbochargers and superchargers, in order to increase that volumetric efficiency by increasing the pressure on the intake side. But in essence, that is the limitations that we reach when it comes to internal combustion engines. And we know this because we have researched the internal combustion engine to death. We have tried our very best to increase the efficiency of internal combustion engines to beyond 30% or 33%, but we don't really have a lot of success in that way. A lot of things other than turbochargers and superchargers have tried to be employed in engines, like for instance variable valve timing. Now variable valve timing does make a difference, but it does also add a lot of mechanical complexity to the engine, which unfortunately causes the engine to wear out quicker, because the more things are moving, the more wear you will have on the engine. And this brings me to the idiots which call themselves Uber drivers. They like to idle around, having the gears in like third gear or something and let the engine just idle. What they don't realize is that the engine is super inefficient at that point. If you're idling around with your car all the time, you are not saving fuel. You are wasting fuel. You are increasing the amount of combustion byproducts that are not carbon dioxide. Things like, for instance, nitrogen dioxides, carbon monoxides, and hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons of them being one of the most dangerous, as that contributes towards smog. So all those things unfortunately also affect the lifespan of these engines. So Uber driver driving around at idle basically is causing their engines to have a reduced lifespan. Most people don't understand this, but the fact of the matter is engines are not designed to run at idle. Idling is bad for an internal combustion engine. Now, in terms of all the losses, I think it is important that I glance over the losses that is involved and why the engine efficiency of internal combustion engines are so difficult to get above about 33%. This is mostly because a lot of it is lost in heat. So in terms of your combustion product, once the combustion is completed, about 30% of the heat energy is still within the gases that are being expelled through the exhaust valve. The other 30% goes through the cylinder wall and is absorbed into the cooling system, and then by the radiator is dumped into the atmosphere. So those losses are basically unavoidable. It's nearly impossible to decrease those losses, and we have tried many things in order to do that. One of those things are the TFSI technology, or turbo fuel stratified injection systems. I do have a video about that. I'll put a link on the video here, so you guys can have a look at that video as well, where I discuss how that system works. But even under that system, there is still those losses, and the efficiency does increase, but not beyond 40%. And 40% is like pretty much the hard limit for gasoline engines. Now, diesel engines, on the other hand, they can be quite efficient, and the larger they become, the more efficient they become. Like for instance, engines that are on boats are one of the most efficient engines that exist in terms of internal combustion engines. But I don't see many people driving around with boat engines the size of a building powering their cars. So that's kind of out of the question for increasing the efficiency of engines. So I hope that gave you a little bit of a better understanding as to how exactly most of our world is powered, and to why there is so much of our world that is being powered by internal combustion engines. Just a quick rundown of this. By far still the vast majority of transportation methods is powered by internal combustion engines, more than 90% in most of the world. And even in electricity generation, about 25% of all electricity in the world is produced by internal combustion engines. Even if we do switch over completely to electrical engines, it is unlikely that those electric engines will be powered by renewable methods, as renewable methods is very unreliable, and you need a lot of storage in order to make it reliable, and that storage unfortunately costs a lot of money. Whereas an internal combustion engine is simple, straightforward, and it functions at any time when you want. If you want to start an internal combustion engine midnight, it will run, and it will still produce the same amount of energy that it will produce during the day. Now granted, at night normally the air temperature is lower and you will have better efficiency on the engine, especially if it's a naturally aspirated engine. But for the basic function of the engine, it will produce the same no matter when you start the engine or when you run that engine. Whereas renewable energies just unfortunately will never be able to achieve that. Our only hope of really making our world a renewable haven is nuclear. And not many people are in favor of that, which I don't really understand, but yeah. To put that into perspective, a coal power station produces about 100 times more radioactive fallout than a nuclear power station. And this is because coal contains a lot of nuclear material. Unfortunately, that is not something we can remove from coal, as it is part of this planet's geology. So I do hope this video has served to inform people that in the end of the day, we are a bit stuck with internal combustion engines, and it's unlikely that we'll ever really get rid of them completely, as they will always have applications, no matter what we do. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching.